What's up, folks? This is the first episode of this channel. Today, joining me is Ozymandias. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Ozymandias V2 on Instagram and YouTube, and I basically make political content, kind of not just aimed at Gen Z, but around that age group, or just people in general. Kind of leftist politics, progressive left too.
Yeah. So, what was the motive? Why do you post the content that you post?
I'd say I've always kind of been political, not really outspoken about it, but I've always had my opinions on certain things. And my original page on TikTok, I started it off as just like a meme page, as I've normally done. I've had like a lot of meme pages, but I had some political memes in there that like I made personally, or I just like found on the internet, and I throw them in, and then people would just like respond to them, and they'll be like, oh, this is like kind of based, like this is like a good point or something. And so I just started making more political content and takes, and people just started like watching it and commenting. Like, it was mostly positive reception, even on the post that kind of blew up. Like, I had a lot of backlash, but I was able to talk through it or debate it well enough to where it wasn't like outright death threats or anything. But yeah, and then I started on TikTok making my content, and then I started getting either mass strikes, or by the moderations there, started kind of getting censored, which I didn't post anything really out of left field or anything like hateful, but I got banned. And then I made an Instagram, and it was kind of a slow start. I got lucky off some posts, blew up, got to like 10K, then I got shadow banned again, and then made a YouTube. I made a YouTube between my TikTok and my Instagram run, and then was making videos, and then I got lucky on a video there, over 100K, and then yeah, so I guess I'm just kind of everywhere at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. So, so you have been doing this for how long?
I'm pretty sure if I count my original TikTok, I think this makes a year. Now that's September. I'm pretty sure I made my original TikTok account. Actually, it might have been August. It was either August or September. So I think it's been around a year since I've started kind of making political content.
And your content has always been interesting to me because TikTok wasn't in our country, it got banned. So I found your Instagram page, and it has always, like, it was a relief actually, because back in those days, like, I don't use Instagram much nowadays, but like a couple of months ago, my feed was just filled, like, full of I would say brain dead content. You know, the right wing brain dead content.
Like
that,
Red Pill or other stuff like that.
yeah, and it was like at a certain point, and it was becoming sort of like a headache to me, really. And I think your piece sort of helped me in a way, because I had some bias, yes, and it did it did help me to open up to an whole another perspective. Like, I was kind of skeptic about the red pill thing, but yeah, and it has been good since. I'm not a very political guy. Like, I'm not very educated enough about all this stuff. Cause every time I try to get into any of this, it always felt like there is just so much contradicting information on the internet, and a lot of it. So it just always felt really, really hard to get into like a specific topic that I'm interested in. So how did you get into topics like that?
First of all, thank you for the compliment. I get like a lot of DMs saying like I changed their mind, and like when you talk about getting banned, like India, I'm not sure if you're India. I don't want to assume, but I know India and like that area, like Pakistan too. It's like in my top 3 like countries in my analytics, and I was like always kind of confused. I was like, I'm not sure because I had one guy DM me before asking me about Prime Minister Modi, and I was like, sorry, I don't know anything about that. But
Yeah,
I
Indians will get kind of annoying. Anyways, continue.
but yeah, I would say like it was just kind of real life because when I was younger, because I'm not that old, I'm like 20, but like in high school, I found the red pill. Like it used to be like a subreddit too, and there was like a whole forum of like talking about like things like, oh, hold frame or make sure you never relax around your woman, blah 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 blah. And I will say back then it was still misogynistic, but it was like much less misogynistic. Like it was actually about self improvement. Like they'd have some crazy takes, but like the meat and potatoes of it was, okay, don't be a bum, don't be broke, stay in shape, be confident, like stuff that would actually help men. But like nowadays, it seems like there's like an added for women component. It's like, oh, get buff and strong for women. Oh, get money so you can attract more women. Do this so you could get, and it's just about women, and it's ironic because a lot of them like dislike women. They'll be like, oh, women will take your money, women will not care about you, women this, women that. I don't like, but they're doing the same thing for people they dislike. So I kind of got out of that. I grew out of it. I never really took it to heart. Like I took like the good pieces, like self-improvement, be more confident. And I think the draw, because I've seen it in real life with some of people I've fallen out with or my friends, I think that with the red pill in general, especially now, people mix up results for being correct or like a certain gradient. So say for example, I might not be confident, don't have good luck with women, I don't really have a purpose in life. I see the red pill content or Andrew Tate and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna start going to the gym, I'm gonna start being confident, I'm gonna get a job. So now I'm more confident, I'm going to the gym, my body's looking better, I have a job, I start talking to women, they like me. So I'm like, okay, that works, which it does. But it gets to a point when you keep watching that content, they're interviewing OnlyFans models. What's your body count? Oh, I don't know, like 40. And then the guy watching is like, oh my god, every girl has a 40 body count. She's gonna cheat on me, blah 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 blah. And then Andrew Tate's like, if you're not a millionaire, your girl's gonna leave you for a millionaire at the drop of a dime. Yeah, women are loyal, blah blah blah. So you kind of go extremist. Like it goes from like, okay, getting a job to take care of myself and being in shape to be in shape or just to make yourself feel better. It goes to, well, I need to be the perfect specimen possible or I'm going to have like the worst experience in my life.
Yeah. So so as I was saying before, I think it just recycles the same message over and over again, and to a point that people just think like it makes people anxious about stuff. Do you ever watch this guy called Hamza?
Yeah, I'm aware of him.
So this guy just like, I mean, I used to like his stuff, like very early stuff when he was talking about just dopamine detox and stuff. And I was also 16, I guess. Yeah. All right, I'm 18 now. So I had that phase too that you were just talking about, the self-improvement phase. And yeah, I was really desperate for woman attention back in those days, and everything this guy used to say, I just like used to believe it as if like it's a Bible, right? So anything stuff changed. I realized I met some people who had contradicting beliefs, like in real life, but different perspectives. And what really like took me away from the self-improvement phase was the outburst of Andrew Tate clips, like which was really like it takes you away, and it's only to hit the impulsive. Like it's like plays with your impulses.
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like
So
That's sorry to cut you off, but that's like my main point in one of my videos. It's like when they talk about, oh, there's lack of make sure my mic's straight. Like there's lack of male role models online or people talking about self-improvement or blah blah blah. There are. It's just that people like Andrew Tate with the fast cars and the attractive women and the kickboxing and all of that, it basically appeals to like their fantasy or like the impulse, like you said. Like nobody wants to watch a guy sitting in a chair telling you the most optimal, you know, workouts or like, you know, to meditate. They want the guy that's going to be like, you need to beat every man physically in a fight, you need to have a Lamborghini and all this money.
yeah, and all of that gets really annoying. And the thing that pushed me away from Hamza when he was talking about that, you know, that your wife is getting fucked by someone else right now. That,
Yeah, I
yeah,
posted that
that
clip.
whole thing, yeah, that whole thing like really made me think, what is this guy talking about? And I was on his server, his Discord server, and oh my god, it's a cult. Like,
Hmm.
were you there? Were you there? Because I'm pretty sure I saw you there, but
I think I joined because I joined another guy named I Am Lucid. I wanted to get into a call with him, not even like to debate, just to talk. Because I've watched a few of Hamza's videos, and you know, out of all the red pill, I don't even think he identifies as red pill anymore. But like out of all those kind of new wave talking to Gen Z male guys, I don't think he's the worst. But like you said, like with shit like that, like I think he kind of loses the plot. But I don't think he's the worst. Like out of all of them.
yeah, yeah. And this whole new wave like gave birth to, I think it ruined out one of my favorite YouTuber. I used to disagree with this guy a lot, but you know, seeing this guy being so self, I'm talking about Sneeko,
Oh god.
and yeah, and this was back in 2018, 19, like pre-COVID. Yeah. So I discovered Sneeko. He used to do stand-up.
Yeah. I followed Sneeko for a while.
Yeah. So I was in America, and I was I was one on. Fuck, I can't speak right now. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry. This is my first time interviewing someone.
Oh,
That's a big
you're all good. You're doing good.
Yeah. So where was I? Yeah. So I was on one of his stand-up
Mm.
in America. I'm pretty sure it was in LA. Yeah. And he was actually like a moderately good guy. Like I actually kind of laughed at his joke. I got an autograph from him. I was his very long time fan. Like I used to watch this guy from fifth grade.
Mhm.
And yeah, just watching how this guy has become, and it's sad because all of this is performative.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't believe anything of what he says, and it's just sad, really. I think that's the problem, and I think he has realized that how much money you can make by playing with people's impulsive. Like
Mm.
if you know how people react to stuff, like the perfect chemicals to use the perfect thing to say,
Mm.
um, it's just like even if people get mad, they're gonna watch it. Like you will get publicity, and I think his philosophy is any publicity is good.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It speaks to anger. Like it's easier to stay in your bubble and stay angry than to learn. Cause like even himself, I don't know if you saw the clip. He just straight up said he was like, I don't want to do the red pill anymore. I got in at a good time. I screamed at the camera, and then now I'm moving on. And he was like, he was basically saying like, I'm not gonna do that content anymore. Like it bores me. It's not popular. And then like since like he apparently converted to Islam. Apparently like he was talking about moving in with other streamers like Neon and Aiden Ross, and then his fans said he should move into a Muslim young men's like living quarters, and he got mad. He was like, "Why would I want to live in a Muslim living quarter?" Chat, like, I know I'm Muslim, but I'm not gonna do all that. And it's just like, I doubt a lot of Muslim guys would choose that over like their own home or just like apartment with friends. But I don't know. A lot of the things that he does, it really comes across that he just did whatever was popular, whatever like Andrew Tate or the others were doing.
Yeah. So, what do you think is the root of this problem? Why do people like want to people like as you said before that people want to stay at this bubble? Why do you think people actually does like really? Is it because they have to like think, like they have to use critical thinking to realize that the position they were in, or like what could be the root of this problem? The blatant ignorance that they are in the right side of history and
I think it might
they're
be
kind of
a bit more complex. I think, like I said earlier, there's nuggets of truth in what they say. It's just taken to the radical, and then the echo chamber and all the street interviews kind of like give them a false sense of reality, like in the literal sense of the word, that like suddenly every Western woman has like 50 sexual partners and they'll leave you for like a guy that makes $1 more than you or whatever. I think the current dynamic with young men, where I think the loneliness epidemic kind of comes from, that's been talked about. I think it comes from the fact that unfortunately men are seen as expendable and just kind of like there, versus like women being like kind of treated like objects, like treasures, like even in like a lot of everyday situations, like the common thing about like men wishing they were catcalled and shit, like a guy would be like, oh, I want to walk down the street and have a girl like grope me or like talk to me. That comes from the expendable part and just the fact that a lot of women knows how it feels, so they don't want to do it. And then the other side is like some men think that they need sex or like attention or like a girlfriend in life, so they just like go to like depraved lengths to get what they want. But I think when guys see that there's this dynamic, they have two choices where it's like, okay, I'm gonna go all out. I need to be the main character. Anything that's given to me, I'm going to fight against society. Like with the whole Andrew Tate Matrix thing, his thing is like, society wants you to be weak. They want you to be slaves. They don't care about you. Blah 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 blah. So here's what you do: go to the gym, buy my course, and whatever motivational stuff he says that I can't think about off the top of my head. So they see that, they start going to the gym and see results, or like they become more confident. They're buying his course, whatever's in that. So they're like, oh, I'm finally not expendable. I feel better for about myself. But they're doing it for other people. They're just doing it like kind of out of spite, not that they want to improve their life. They're improving it for other people. And I think the other side of that is just dudes that have completely given up and they just like shut in, and they could be the people that turn into those like guys. But I think that's like the current two categories.
yeah. I think that all of this problem could have been solved if, I mean, I get the dynamic. Like I have been this place before. I mean, even not that long. Is like I have been really lonely a year ago. The only people like last year, the only people I talked to were my parents and like two people. Yeah. And I graduated high school this year, and last year I did make some friends like at the fall. But before last year I have been really lonely, so I kind of get why this is very like the attention from women or anyone in general is very important. And but I think that the main character syndrome, as you said before, like they're not actually self-improving. Like they're doing it for others, and it doesn't like really fulfills you.
Yeah.
Uh, so my point is, I guess, I don't know. Maybe be slightly skeptic of whatever you're doing, like at all times.
Mm. I think it's also the purpose of it too, because in my, especially before I got follower locked, when like people that disagreed with me could like talk to me and see my content. Whenever I would critique the red pill or like these like self improvement guys, the common response would be, "Oh, so are you against self improvement, soy boy? Like, oh, you don't want guys going to the gym, you want us weak?" And it's like, no, but if I'm going to the gym, because I go to the gym a lot, I was raised on the gym. If I go to the gym, I'm going there because I either want my body to get better or I just want to keep up with the discipline or maybe I just enjoy it. But when I'm going to the gym, I think it could be good motivation. I think things can be motivational. If someone, called you a name physically or whatever, or you just broke up and, in the relationship you were slacking, maybe you became a slob, lazy, whatever, not disciplined. Okay, you could go to it. But there comes a point where you have to look at yourself and like what you're doing and be like, am I doing this for me or am I doing this for other people? Because say you broke up with a girl, you want to get back at her, you want to be like, oh, I want to become way more attractive. You go to the gym, you finally get buff. That girl doesn't care anymore. Like 9 times out of 10, when you do stuff to spite people that didn't care about you in the first place, they're not gonna care. And I think a lot of guys now, with the stage that the red pills are going, you see this way more. Like especially on gym TikToks, like there'll be captions like, "Oh, I can bench 225, but I can't talk to a woman," or another night lonely in the gym. And I think a lot of them cope with that need for intimacy or like attention, like you said, with like saying that they don't need women or they don't need friends. Because I've also noticed an uptick of content that's like, I don't go to parties, I don't want to be around NPCs, or like, why would I need a woman when I have the gym and money? And it's just like, it feels like a huge cope to me, because you started these things for other people and you're realizing that they don't care, and then now like you're kind of like, shit, what do I do now?
Yeah. And the thing that I wanted to add was that you can improve. I think you just have to educate yourself about um, like what you can do, things in life,
Mm-hmm.
like your surroundings. And this is what I try to do. Like I mean, I still try. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking like I'm a 35-year-old.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so basically that I try to educate myself around my surroundings, but the main point that I was getting at is that I just get distracted. Like anytime I try to look up a topic,
Mm-hmm.
say I want to look up the Afghanistan, like the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan, and there's just so much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just can't get into the root of the thing. And even before I scroll, there's like another content that is totally unrelated to the what I just watched. And I think that really fucks up with our attention span as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that I just can't like get into a topic, like really study the topic. And I think that's the problem with the internet.
Yeah.
It just shoves down content. It doesn't matter. And I think that you need a particular amount of time to think about what you just read
Mm-hmm.
or studied. And I don't think internet gives you that amount of time, and that time is very important, I believe.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think with all the entry points of like information nowadays and like who's posting or even like what institutes are posting, there's a lot of chance for biasness. And I think at the end of the day too, there's more people that would like to assume that they know everything or that they're automatically correct versus people that could just simply say like, I don't know, I'll have to look into it, or I don't have enough information to talk about that. Like, cause I'll get DMs like of people like telling me about random books or philosophies or news stories, like the Modi stuff. I straight up said, I was like, I wouldn't know anything about that. Like, I'll have to read up on it, but I have no idea what Prime Minister Modi of India is doing right now.
yeah. So that's the point. I think the media wants you to not. I mean, this is a theory, but sometimes I feel like the media doesn't want you to know like obviously it doesn't, but like it doesn't have to censor some stuff if it doesn't let you think. Like if it doesn't let you, like if it doesn't give you the time to think.
Uh,
Right, right.
well, I
So
think that's just the natural news cycle too. Just things come in and out. I think also with the whole thing about the mainstream media and anti-establishment thing, like yeah, a lot of media is funded and bought and biased, but and I think like this portion of my content also speaks to a lot of people too for this reason. But a lot of people don't realize that like these channels and other alternative websites and news media are also biased. Like Daily Wire was funded by oil tycoons who are against climate change for money purposes, and there's like even political speakers out there that are funded by Republicans or Democrats or even if you look on Twitter, like on a smaller scale, Twitter or YouTube, there's just pages out there that are just simply biased. Like they'll just cherry pick content or do whatever suits their narrative. So I think people shouldn't get caught up. Not saying you, but I don't think people should get caught up in the mainstream media is lying. I go to other sources like Twitter or a Facebook page.
yeah. So, but even in the Facebook page, there are like you really, it doesn't like give you the thing that I'm trying to say. How will say a teenager
Mm.
get into politics, right? Like they will just have to like see what seems cool to them. Oh, this is a Chad and Wojak thing.
Yeah.
This is what appeals to you. W- but that guy, that teenager isn't studying Marxist
Yeah.
literature, right?
Yeah, he's not reading philosophies or stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm saying how can he get into it?
I think the first step is kind of like, because on my page highlights when I made my policies or whatever that some people swipe up, or like some of my ideal policies. I think what helps is writing down and being honest, like what, like in your quote unquote utopia, what would be the policies and attitudes and ethics, morals, whatever that you would have in your ideal society. And then I think you should look at that, and I'm not gonna get into political compass stuff because that's like torn to shreds, but I think you should look like, am I progressively left, am I conservative right, am I economically left, am I economically right, like on a gradient, and then work from there. Like I think doing political values tests also help just to get an idea of where you land. I'm not a big fan of labels because I think on the left too, there's a lot of infighting. Like, oh, if you're a Marxist-Leninist versus a Maoist versus social democrat versus a democratic socialist, all that stuff. I think that those labels can be nitpicky at times, but I think you should get a sense of that. And then also a component would be, do I believe these things because I was told or because I've seen it on social media? Or do I believe these things because they came from my own educated opinion, or at least looked into it? Because I think a lot of people, especially that quote unquote debate me or hit me up disagreeing, we end up agreeing on a lot of stuff, or like I change their perspective, because there's a lot of things where people don't realize that they've gotten one side of the story or misinformation, or they're just believing it because their parents said so. So I think that's also another step.
Yeah, I think the fundamental step is to realize your bias,
Yeah.
right? Hmm. So,
'Cause-
how will this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
No, you could go.
All right. So, say this guy gets into this literature, right?
Mhm.
And he actually does his research. He like gets more into it, but there's gonna fuck. Can you like give me a minute to think?
Yeah. You're all good.
Because- Yeah. Yeah, I was saying that a time is gonna come when that person is gonna hit a roadblock. Maybe because there's another perspective, there's another debate that he saw or lost, So, I mean, I'm not saying that he completely leaves that whole ideology. I believe that anyone who like researches into an ideology or researches into anything
Mm-hmm.
won't just leave it right away because he lost a debate, right?
Yeah.
But how will that person question what they're learning?
Um,
Because I believe, yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say, I think once again, like I said about people admitting that they don't know everything, I think a lot of people need to be, even me included, if there's something that I'm misinformed on in the future, or even now, I think a lot more people need to be more open to the fact that they could be wrong, maybe not completely wrong, but on some subjects. And I think that's the whole point of debates. I think that a lot of debate culture, like I kind of said in my intellectual cuckoldry video, a lot of debates nowadays are just like people watch it for the gotcha moments. They watch it for people to get owned. Nobody wants to watch a 2 hour civil discussion between two people. Not a lot. They want to watch like some guy debate a guy on his Discord and scream at him and, you know, get an owned moment or whatever. Like, but I think with certain things, like debate is great for that. And if you read something that goes against what you're saying, um, you know, you could be like, okay, I'll look more into this author or who said this or this school of thought and see if, you know, maybe I am wrong. I think also another component is like when people give you alternative media, even if you immediately write it off, I think it's worth at least reading or watching. Like for the trans stuff, I would say that well, with kids, I think there should be ages and certain psychiatric therapists like opinions on that. But just in general, I would say that I'm more pro trans. I think, you know, we should just let people, you know, with respect, do what they want to. But I've had people who were anti-trans DM me some certain documentaries, and it didn't really change my perspective that much. But I'll be like, oh, okay, I could see that, or you know, okay, that's a decent point about that. And so I think just watching those things are like random, and taking them, you know, at face value could be good. And I think also vetting sources on the flip side, because I've had people send me some like videos or sources, and I've watched them, and I'll be like, that was funded by like the government to say that. Like I'll look into it, or like it would just be like some video that was like completely out of touch. So
yeah. So as I was saying before, it comes back to the point that people have to overcome their biasness, right?
mhm.
Mm. So yeah, but if you think it from their perspective, I think they think it all comes down to like the whole philosophy that you're right all like you have to be right all the time. I don't
Mhm.
believe that. I think that is very detrimental to you. In fact, I believe that I am wrong all the time, and and I just try to be less wrong every day, I guess.
Mhm.
But I have accepted the fact that I'm never gonna be right, and it doesn't mean that I don't believe that
I
there
don't think
is
that's
a
the
better life.
I don't think that's the best perspective on things.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Okay, let me explain this thing better.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I'm completely wrong about stuff.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that that I could be wrong.
Okay, yeah.
Like I'm not wrong. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So like there is a 50-50 chance, but it also boils down to that if I think I'm just not confident enough.
Mhm.
But yeah.
I mean,
But
it's,
as I
it's
was
better
saying,
that than arrogance, I guess.
yeah. Oh, what was I talking about? Wait a minute.
You were saying going in with
Yeah,
like not always thinking you're right.
yeah. I think that like stops you from learning
Mm,
about stuff
yeah.
because I lack a lot of life experience, and I think I think that I should be open-minded about every kind of possibilities that could happen. Um, yeah, that's kind of it. That's what That's all. Yeah. Anything you want to add?
Just for closing, I would say like yeah, just always be open minded. I think what I've said before, everybody, as far as we know, everybody's going through life for the first time. So if somebody was born like say in a two parent household, very rich, never left their home country or even home state, they're going to have a very different experience than somebody who was in a single family home, maybe lower middle class, or even poor, traveling around a lot or something like that. So you got to take in those things. And also, some issues don't necessarily always have a right answer. Like, it's just like whatever the person thinks is best. You know what I mean? Like, say for immigration, I might be more open to immigration than someone else. Somebody might think, immigration, because I've had talks with some of my friends that live in Europe about, well, not some, it's not that many, but one or two that will talk about like losing cultural identity, and that's like a thing that they care about a lot. But I have a different perspective of that, and I don't think there's a wrong answer until like you go into like Aryan like kill all immigrants territory. But yeah, so I think everybody's always gonna have their
Yeah.
different thing.
Yeah. I think it's nothing is wrong until somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
yeah. So that's about it. Thank you guys for joining in to the first episode of this podcast. I still haven't come up with a name, but I will. And where can we find you, OG Mandis?
Ozymandias V2 on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.